everyone, and welcome to the very first of the autumn soap collection videos. For those who don't know me, my name is Katie, and if you want, you can follow me at the social media profiles down below. I post lots of stuff about soap, and I also just had a baby, so there's lots of cute photos over there. Today we're going to be making pumpkin spice soap. Now, this is probably the most common fall scent ever, but I think it's for good reason because it smells so delicious. So the first thing we're going to do is blend up our lye water solution with our oils. I have new lye water containers that I got from the dollar store. Now I'm going to blend this up until light trace is achieved. We're going to have three colors for the soap. We're going to have sort of like a coppery sort of orange color, and then we're going to have a bright orange color. The one for the sort of like burnt orange, that's going to be Aztec Gold with a little bit of orange oxide. And then this one right here, the vibrant one, is with Vibrance Orange and Neon Orange. And of course I have links to all the colors that I'm using down below. And then the base soap is going to be a dark brown. So this is going to be a really like kind of nutty, definitely fall warm, you know, kind of bakery looking soap. Okay, so all of the proper colors have been added in now, so I'm gonna go ahead and blend them up, and then I might add some titanium dioxide to these two depending on which one needs it. Okay, all of my colors have been mixed up, and isn't that like the perfect pumpkin pie color? I'm going to add the fragrance oil, and then we're going to start pouring them into the molds. I'm going to start by pouring in some of this dark orange color. Again, this looks exactly like pumpkin pie. And then I'm going to pour in a whole bunch of this chocolate brown color. I think that's going to swirl it up really good in there. And then we're going to pour in some of the more vibrant orange. Plop that right in. Totally reminds me of autumn leaves. Then I'm going to go back in with the brown, just like so. Pour a little more orange. Gosh, this smells so good. Super strong fragrance. Put in some more brown. I haven't scraped any of my bowls yet. I'm gonna wiggle this around a little bit. Pour in some more of that bright orange right down the middle. A little more on the sides here. So I'm gonna shake these a little bit. Then I'm gonna scrape out the containers, and we're going to start putting on the piping. All right, so my piping has set up. It is a creamy white color, and I have added some orange jojoba beads. I'm using the Royalty Soaps piping set and this little tip that I only break out on special occasions because it's really kind of small, but I thought for pumpkin spice, because this is kind of a desserty looking soap, it needed a desserty looking tip. I will leave a link to it down below. The hot topic seems to be the fact that I no longer have a stomach hanging over the hanging over the table whenever I'm making videos, because of course, as most of you know by now, I have given birth to a very healthy baby girl. She came on September 6th. It was not the smoothest of labor and deliveries. I was in labor for 32 hours, and 24 hours of that was completely natural. I had planned on having a birth at a birthing center, but there were some complications. So I had to be transferred to the hospital. My blood pressure was way too high, apparently because of the amount of pain I was in. That's what I was told anyway. So it was far over the legal limit for them to keep me there. So I had to be transferred. Luckily, I was transferred to pretty much the best hospital ever. Those people were so great. So yeah, I'll have like a complete story up on my second channel there, but I have loved every single second of being a mom. There were many actually, sleepless nights there at the beginning of like 5 days in a row. She was up pretty much all night. So I was learning, sleep when they sleep at all hours of the day. But that's pretty much par for the course, and I have no real complaints at all. It's been miraculous, and honestly those first couple of days were just a blur. They were an absolute blur because I was in the hospital for 2 nights, so about 48 hours total, and that is also just a blur. Caleb and I were talking about it. We're like, it's so surreal. It doesn't feel like, you know, it doesn't feel like that really happened to us, but obviously it did. So yeah, I loved that. I'll give you a full story on my blog and on my second channel, so if you aren't subscribed to those and you want to read about that, well, that's where those stories are going to be. I also have to give a massive shout out to Caleb, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be making soap right now. I'm only standing for very short amounts of time of the day because obviously my body is still healing. So he prepped all of my soap batches for me. He made all of the embeds and he did all of the lye water solution. He literally made it so that all I had to do was walk in here and start making soap. So I can't thank him enough for that. He's absolutely invaluable. He's actually in the kitchen right now packaging up soaps. So he's just been a busy little bee. He's also kept me fed over the last couple of days when I was on bed rest. So Husband of the Year award goes to. Okay, so now I'm gonna go put 2 little final dollops on each one of these soaps. I probably won't put that last one because the embeds that I have, I'd like them to be rather flat across the top instead of kind of one being higher in the middle. I have a feeling you guys are really gonna like the mold that I used. I think I used this last year too. Yeah, I did. I used this mold last year, but every time I use it, people are like, where did you get that? So I will leave a link to the little embed mold down below as well. So while this is a high top soap, I will say it's one of the shortest high top soaps that I've done in a really long time. Just the way that this piping tip does just tends to make for a bit shorter bars. So I have a little bit extra, so I'm just gonna fill in this little gap here. There's not much of one, obviously, but when you have extra soap, that's a good place to put it. All right, so now it's time to put the embeds in. You guys, look at these. Aren't they cute? They're the miniest pumpkins ever. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by putting 2 on the ends because Caleb said he was a bit short with some of them. He said, oh, I think he had to make like 102 of these or something, and I think he only made 100. So I'm just gonna start off with 2 here at the end, and then I'm gonna put 3 on all the rest of them, and I am gonna try to put them kind of close together, like a little pumpkin patch sort of, instead of having it all spread out everywhere. I'm also gonna pipe some leaves on here with some green piping that I made. Okay, so I'm gonna put all the rest of these on because it's gonna take a really long time, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the leaf piping. Alrighty, so all the pumpkins are in, so it's time to start putting on the little green leaves. Now, when you're working with a piping tip that is as small as what I'm using, you can't let your piping sit up as long because the tip opening is just too small for really stiff piping. So you kind of have to start piping earlier probably than you think you were going to. Now I'm kind of randomly adding these leaves in, just like so, all over the soap. Pumpkin patches are very viney. There's lots of leaves everywhere. There's lots of really scrolly looking vines everywhere. So I feel like as far as accuracy is concerned, I can kind of do no wrong when it comes to the amount that I put on here. I do think just for rhythm's sake that I'll go ahead and put 1. It's starting to set up a little more so that I can make it a little more textured. At this point, these do kind of look like flowers, so I'll probably go paint a stem in the middle of the pumpkins with some brown mica just to differentiate between this and a flower. I've put all the leaves on this loaf over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this loaf and then just do the other one off camera because, again, this is one of the ones that takes quite a while So I'm going to put some vines in, just casually. Most of them probably towards the end of the soap. Okay, so the vines are on in all different places. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side. We're gonna finish up this loaf and then I'll show you a close-up. And this is what the soap looks like once it's complete. I'm totally getting Cinderella vibes from the top of this. Like, we should pick out her magical carriage. Go fetch me a pumpkin. I thought it needed glitter, and then I decided no, it needs no glitter. It is perfect just the way it is. So I'm gonna let this sit for 24 to 48 hours. And then we'll come back and cut it. And we are back to cut this soap. I'm cutting it from this angle because the bud cutter only cuts 1 bar at a time, and I need to do that because all of the little embeds, well, I just didn't get them as perfect as I wanted, and I would end up cutting some of them up if I used Evangeline. So I'm going to line this up here, and essentially I'm just trying not to cut the embeds. So these bars will vary just a little, and that's what it looks like on the inside. So you can see it's really, really swirly. These end pieces, they tend to have a little bit more color than the ones in the middle. The smell for this is absolutely fantastic. I think it smells so, so good. And Caleb smelled it too and was like, oh man, that's a really good one. And if he says it's a really good one, you know it's good. Speaking of Caleb, do you have a question of the day for us? Well, find one.
Okay, I got a question.
Okay, he's got a question. What's the question?
Would you rather get 1 free round trip international flight per year, or would you rather be able to fly domestically for free as much as you want?
Oh man, that's hard. Me personally, we don't travel that much. And I think the biggest thing holding you and I back from traveling internationally is probably the plane tickets. So I think I would take the one-time international. Okay, so what would you pick?
Say whatever you want. Probably international.
I think that's a good one.
There's really pretty places inside the States, but
we don't want to go to any of them. Look at this last bar. This one looks so much crazier than all of the other ones. Okay, so if you want to participate in the question of the day, you can click the I in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. That is where the poll will be. Caleb and I both want to go international, but I would love to see why people would choose to do domestic instead. I bet lots of people would pick that based on where their family lives too. Because I know that there are some people that like live in California and then their parents live in New York, and that's just a lot of money they spend on flights every year. So that would probably be beneficial for them, but most of our people live in Texas or thereabouts, so it's not that hard to travel.
Most people enjoy the separation.
Thanks you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, maybe even leave me a comment down below, and I will see you all soon for the next autumnal soap making video.